Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Mixed Texan Politics. All right, so not that long ago, Governor Abbott had Texas DPS partner with Austin PD to reduce crime in the city. And let's take a look at what happened, how much crime went down, and hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Mixed Texan Politics. All right, so Governor Abbott's effort to combat violent crime in major cities in Texas has been going very well. And most recently, we saw this in Austin, where Texas DPS troopers partnered with Austin PD. Let's take a look at what happened and why they're temporarily putting their partnership on hold.
6 weeks, now move to the border. Thanks for being with us. I'm Britt Moreno.
And I'm Daniel Marin. The Department of Public Safety partnership with Austin Police temporarily ended Saturday so troopers could support border operations in the wake of Title 42 crossing restrictions ending. KXAN's Nabil Ramadna asks what city leaders and citizens expect to see next.
You won't see as many DPS troopers patrolling the streets of Austin.
DPS covers the entire state. Right now, their priority is securing our border.
As Austin police faced about 300 vacancies, the Texas Department of Public Safety temporarily expanded their force.
The partnership between APD and DPS was definitely successful in the city of Austin, especially for bringing down violent crimes and also decreasing response times.
The city has only released data for the first 2 weeks of the partnership. However, that's been going on since March 30th. A city memo sent April 13th stated there was an overall 25%
I wonder what it is now.
decrease in violent crime and 58% decrease in high violent crime areas DPS was deployed to. But the move did not come without criticism.
I wasn't in agreement. I didn't think it was necessary at all.
Esmeralda Hernandez grew up in the Montopolis area and worries about equity.
I think that we see a lot of over-policing in...
Oh my gosh, you can just take a look at it. She looks like some woke woman, or whatever she identifies as nowadays.
areas like the 4-1, like Dove Springs 4-4 area.
A report from the Travis County Attorney's Office showed DPS troopers arresting a higher percentage of Latino and Black people for misdemeanors when the partnership first started.
I would say I'd be happier not seeing them come back at all.
Of course. These people don't like law and order. They get so afraid and offended by police, despite the fact that they have seen a drop in violent crime, 58% in the high crime areas and 25% overall. This is fantastic news in my opinion, at least for the first 2 weeks. It's probably been a lot better since then.
Mayor Kirk Watson sent us a statement addressing that, saying we've been able to recalibrate it in an effort to address troubling issues and prevent people from feeling targeted, profiled, and over-policed. Councilmember Mackenzie Kelly has other concerns with the partnership pausing.
I've spoken to officers specifically who do feel overworked. They feel that they are working so hard, they're going to burn out.
Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
Mayor Watson says the partnership will be on hold for at least 2 weeks. There were 80 troopers and 20 special agents working Austin.
Well, so these troopers have been sent to the border to combat the crisis at the border we're seeing. So this is why it's important. This is why I put a big emphasis on law and order, and one of the reasons why I voted for Greg Abbott. Again, now, I have had my criticisms of him in the past, but he is a law and order guy. So this is great news. Now, this is not the first time that he's done this. We saw it back in 2020 after George Floyd riots, came onto the scene. Abbott did send resources to major cities in Texas. This is why we didn't see in Texas what we saw in other places like New York and Minneapolis, places like that, where we saw buildings being burned down all over the place and all this crazy stuff going on. Texas was able to keep it a little bit more tamed, actually a lot more tamed. This was back in May of 2020. Governor Abbott announced Sunday afternoon that the entire state of Texas will be placed under a disaster declaration in response to demonstrators in several Texas cities protesting the death of George Floyd. Every Texan and every American has the right to protest, and I encourage all Texans to exercise their First Amendment rights. However, violence against others and destruction of property is unacceptable and counterproductive. His announcements comes a day after he activated the Texas National Guard in response to protest violence. Now, he sent troops to Houston, Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio. It says the Texas Department of Public Safety sent more than 1,500 troopers on Saturday to assist local police departments. On Sunday, Abbott ordered thousands more troopers to various cities and more than 1,000 members of the National Guard to assist the Department of Public Safety and law enforcement in their efforts. And there has been more instances of this, of Abbott sending troops to help combat violent crime. As we saw in 2020, after the spike of violent crime we saw with the George Floyd riots, in November of 2020, he sent more resources to Dallas. And this was similar to what we saw in 2019, when he sent state troopers to the city of Dallas to combat violent crime. It was an operation called Operation D-Town. And Dallas has a mayor, a Democrat mayor, who is actually not super far left. He's actually not far left at all, in my opinion. He actually seems pretty moderate. And he won 2019. He ran unopposed in 2023, this year, and won resoundingly, obviously. I think it's because he has actually done a pretty good job for the city of Dallas. He's actually a law and order guy. He's put together a great violent crime plan to tackle crime in the city of Dallas, and it's been very effective. Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson said the swell of violent crime required all hands on deck response. So he welcomed Abbott's help. He wasn't pushing back on it in any kind of way like some of these other woke mayors who don't want law and order in their cities. You know, like we saw in 2020 when Trump was offering the assistance of a National Guard to places, saying, hey, we can send these people, these troops to your cities, to your state, to quell the violence. And these governors pushed back and said, no, we don't want you here. So yeah, but this Operation D-Town in June lasted 3 months in the city of Dallas, and there was a 30% drop in crime in targeted areas. Of course, it came with criticism, saying that black people and Hispanic people were being targeted. But has it ever occurred that a lot of the times these places are where the violent crime is going on? So I don't think there's any racial profiling going on. As we've seen in the past reports from the FBI that a lot of the violent crime that's being targeted by law enforcement is actually not racially motivated. They're just going where the violent crime is. So I don't think it has anything to do with race. And yes, of course you want people to feel targeted, but at the same time you have to go where the crime is. And this is why I believe Texas has not, places like Dallas, San Antonio, have not been, you don't see the type of violent crime as you see in places like Los Angeles and Chicago, where those places make the national news almost every night, it seems, with gang violence and things like that. You see people on TV break into stores in broad daylight. Now, we do have problems here in Texas. I'm not saying Texas is perfect. We do have problems here. But the thing is that when things are getting out of control, before they start spilling out into, out of control, Governor Abbott has done a good job of taming things here in the state of Texas. So not letting them get out of control like you see in other places. This is why it's important to elect people who support law enforcement and who are not afraid to lay the hammer down. Like I said, I've had my criticisms of Governor Abbott for various reasons, but this is why it's important to elect Republican governors who respect the rule of law. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Take care.